Hello and welcome to the Ideal Investor Show. My name is Axel and I'm the host of the Ideal Investor Show, where we show you the path to early retirement. Thank you, Esteban, for being here and for coming on our show, the Ideal Investor Show, where we try to help people to find out what are all the different aspects in real estate that help you to hopefully get to an early retirement, or at least what I always call the time freedom point, the point where you don't have to really be forced to exchange time for money anymore, where you can make a free choice. Do I want to work? Do I want to work half the time, or so forth and so forth? So Esteban, maybe for our audience, you can do us the favor and give us a little bit of an idea who you are, how did you get in real estate, and what are you doing? I saw in the preparation that you're helping sellers basically find the right people, if I understand it right, but it should be coming from you.
That's right. Thanks, Axel, for having me here. Actually, the way that I got into the real estate investing game is I actually lived in one of the most real estate kind of distressed market in the US, which is Detroit.
Okay.
So when I came from Toronto and I ended up going to Detroit, and I saw all these homes that were burned out, needed tons of repairs, abandoned, even skyscrapers, I started getting this type of passion, this type of familiarity of with real estate. And then all of a sudden I started getting bombarded with YouTube ads, of course, and all these YouTube videos about real estate investing. All these financial and YouTubers and real estate YouTubers such as Graham Stephan kind of like initiated my journey into like getting interested on that.
Okay.
And all of a sudden is just that bigger, not bigger pockets, but there was this big educational program that I attended to. It had a 3-day seminar, all right, and they're very well known for their getting them into a 3-day seminar, and then of course getting you in a 30K 50K kind of coaching all year long, right? Yeah. And so I went to the 3-day seminar. It was with a colleague that we went, and they taught us how we could get started to real estate investing, but also how to actively do real estate investing. So gave us the brief about wholesaling, right? Give us a brief about all of that you can do in the real estate investing game actively, which is a great way to get started, get your feet wet, right?
Yeah,
And
wonderful.
of course,
Let me just interrupt you. Sorry. Can you say how long ago this was and if you're still in Detroit?
yeah, absolutely. So this was about 2018 that I actually went into this. Before that, like I want to say 2017, I was already following people that were real estate investing related, such as Robert Kiyosaki. I read his book, of course, for personal development matters. I had a following with Grant Cardone and all of this, but in 2018, right?
Right.
This is where I started getting the educational more deep into it, and that's where I got my first flip. All right, that was my first flip in Detroit. It was a house, and it went horribly wrong.
And then you found Alefiyah and she helped you out to get straightened out, or how did that work?
Yeah, so
I'm
we
just
found
making it up, Alefiyah. You should say yourself how it actually happened.
we found early the problem that we could really exit before we got deeper into the issue.
Right.
So Detroit has a great project and effort into kind of revitalizing the neighborhood, like being able to bring it back to its feet. And they have this called land bank, where they have an auction online, and it's like lots of properties that are now owned by the land bank, basically by the county, by the government.
Right.
And they would put it in auctions. It starts at $1,000.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I know, it's great. And but what we didn't really know, and the terms of conditions of the contract was, if you get on the contract and you win the auction and you put in the deposit and everything, you cannot transfer over the title of the property to another person after 3 years. So you get that, you get the title, but the contract says you cannot do a transfer of title to any other entity, any other person after 3 years of owning that property. So the business model did not work for us at the time. Like we did not want to like own it and keep it. We wanted to flip it, right? We wanted to like
Just to clarify, I think what you meant to say is you have to keep it for 3 years, right? And then
correct.
it's the earliest you could sell it. So did you ever consider, or would you run out of funding to ever consider renting in the meantime to cover your costs and then maybe go to the next one?
I feel like we did have the funding. I think we did have the money to make it happen. However, that was not our intention. Was not our business model. We were looking to getting the cash quick, right, to generate that revenue. Well, after 3 or 4 months of fixing it up, we could have potentially collectively get the funding to keep it. I think it needed about 40K in repairs. But would still put us thin, like it will still stretch us a little bit.
Right.
So it did not work out, and it was like, hey, I'm gonna go now, and I'm gonna figure out how to exit this. A bunch of other things that we did in order to get it going, start to flip, purchase the property, signing the contract, getting it done. Like we won the auction at like probably 11 or 12,000 bucks, or maybe it was like 16 or something like that. But it was not fitting our business model that we intended to do, right? Getting the work, put in the work, have our contracting friend do the repairs and the restoration of everything, and then on to the next one. So did not happen. And that was like, man, that was like such a moment of like, it was disappointing, but at least it was like, it opened our eyes, like really what the hell we should be doing. Like
Yeah, and
that
one
we,
thing I wonder if you or Alefiyah would agree. I at least have to say, in all my learning about investing and getting properties and financing, insurance, all those different things, those things, even though they're really disappointing and can be nerve-wracking and stuff, ended up oftentimes being the biggest learning experiences that really help to get on the right track. So, Alefiyah, for one, I want to welcome you to our conversation. Can you maybe chime in and say how you went from there after you had that experience?
Yes, of course. So just to provide some background, as you know, as to myself. So my name is Alefiyah Vahanvaty. I am the PR partner for Hustle Media, and I actually work with Esteban primarily to boost his public awareness. So primarily growing his business by primarily being featured on various podcasts, interviews, or even growing organically outbound. So through my personal experience in building a brand, and especially helping real estate investors build a brand, we were able to combine our passions together in order to grow Hustle Media.
Very cool. Okay. And so, Esteban, what happened then after that first deal? I assume you found a way to somehow do it with less than 3 years holding time.
yeah. So we definitely had like, we had other strategies that we could potentially do an exit on. But it started to become a lot of a hustle. It started to become something that we really want to put way too much energy into kind of breaking through the contract, or just going outside of the business model that we were pursuing.
Right.
So what we did was we tried to do as much as possible without starting to put way too much money into the renovations, to back up from the contract, because the land bank did give a lot of perks to like teachers and people that work for the city, and all these different perks to them, but not to regular people like me. I was just working
Right.
at the time in the automotive world, and we were just a consumer, right? And the whole idea of Detroit at the time and right now was to bring in residents to live there, and kind of do a correction of the neighborhoods, right? Like bring in people that would live in the neighborhoods, stay there, and provide for the city growth. Okay. But after that, man, I decided to really just go on another angle into this, because we were still having that partnership with these two other guys that we bought that first Detroit house, but we knew that we wanted to do stuff together, right?
Right.
But what I ended up doing was I found a cash buyer, someone that would buy properties in Detroit and then sell it to Argentinian investors
Oh,
back in Argentina.
cool.
And their model was pretty sweet and still pretty sweet. They buy properties for cash at a very, of course, they'll try to get as low as possible.
Right.
They either would buy it on auction, or they would buy through wholesalers, or they would buy through their own bird dog, or door knocking, or cold call, or SMS marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would do the repairs, completely renovate it, and then sell it to these Argentinian investors. And his brother would be a broker, a property manager in Detroit, that would manage the property for these investors. So it was a great model, right?
So
They would
almost kind of like a turnkey kind of.
it was a turnkey model, correct?
Right. Right.
And so they would give these properties turnkey to these investors in Argentina. These investors in Argentina will start, putting their money in the U.S. market. It's a growing market. I believe that Detroit has a lot of possibilities to grow very, very great in the next few years. They've been doing great things. I know it's still not like a hot market like other places, but there is a chance that, as you go, everything becomes better. So I started working with him and helping him with the use of social media. Okay.
Cool.
He was like a Facebook group kind of person, as a real estate investors. Nowadays they go to Facebook groups, they leverage Facebook groups, they meet other cash buyers, they meet other wholesalers,
Right.
they
Right.
kind of help each other. But he was like a Facebook group kind of person, but he would never have tried running paid advertising,
Oh,
which
okay. Yeah.
yeah, which is actually paying Facebook and Instagram to show the announcements. Let's say, call it a virtual bandit sign, right? Call it a virtual bandit sign. Show these bandit signs virtually in the phone. So every single time a homeowner would turn on and open the phone app of Facebook or Instagram, they would have a bandit sign. They would see a bandit sign, or they would see an announcement saying that we buy houses or sell your house for cash fast. I started helping him doing that, because I told him, if you teach me everything that you know about real estate investing and your model, I will be able to help you get more properties for your investors.
Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it's almost, are you getting some sort of a referral fee for those that you actually find that they can then turn around, so to speak?
So when I started, it was it was like that. He was like, hey, for every single person that I would lock up, every single property, I'll give you $1,000, kind of like a bird dog model.
Right.
And I
Right.
was like, all right, let's do that. Let's try doing that. But me keeping track of this was like a big kind of a big mission. Okay. What did your acquisition manager lock up today? Did they have a good conversation with the seller? Did you guys negotiate something? And keeping track of that, it was a big mission for me, because I had no CRM. Everything was like Google Sheets at the
Right.
moment. Everything was through WhatsApp messaging. And
Yeah, let me
what I
just
ended up,
make for those of our audience who don't know, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. It's basically a software where you can log your calls and time and schedule and
that's right.
that kind of stuff.
So those for going to what Axel just said, a CRM in your business to start off, I'm not saying that it's not going to be required, but I'm saying it's something that is going to keep you 100% organized, and it's going to allow you for less things to fall through the crack. with your
Absolutely. I
prospects.
would totally agree. And I mean, the thing about it is that the C is a little bit deceiving because it always makes the assumption, like where it originally came from, that there's always the need to have a customer involved. But it could be also called the lead relationship management or the engagement relationship management. It's basically just a tool. Like you said, I would totally agree. And I'm assuming Alefiyah would agree as well. It's basically something to keep you organized, keep you on track, give you an opportunity to say, well, what did we talk about last time we were on the phone, or what was in the last email, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
Because so at the moment we were using Google spreadsheets, and that's fine. We use actually an automation that would allow us every single time a lead would be generated, the lead would be put into a cell in the Google sheet, and that's fine to kind of have like a master data of things as things come in. But him, for example, trying to grab that information and then text the seller, have a conversation with the seller on the phone, and trying to take down notes in his own phone, and then trying to put it back into the Google Sheet, it became like 3, 4, 5 processes right there that would take his time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I think that is generally the weakness of these more simple tools that don't have much of a software behind it, is they basically assume every transaction is a single event, right? Or a task or something like that. And that's what I've always found to be helpful for using any software, like a CRM software of any kind, that you can basically have a sequence of events all related to the same person, to the same lead, or whatever you want to call the entity you're engaging with, and you can look up what the history was and so forth. With the spreadsheet, every line is basically one thing, and it has its data, and that's it, right? So maybe you can expand a little bit on where you are now and how you're working together, and how your system actually has evolved.
absolutely, man. So from going on Google Sheets, helping a cash buyer that wanted to, take on homes and like call them or go and visit that property, we evolved to having actual processes and systems. So my route was, it started working for this guy, I'm going to expand that with other people. So as a real estate investor, I started as a real estate investing, doing the flip. And then I started kind of like getting into this community and creating this community of people that would want to leverage social media, Facebook ads and Instagram ads to create a lead generation system. And then eventually now, what we have created now is a lead conversion system as well. So where is it that we're at right now? We currently are fulfilling for real estate investors. We are generating leads through social media, yes, Facebook and Instagram, but we are also generating leads through Google advertising, which is PPC, pay per click. And now the system is so incredible that every single time that a lead is generated, we not only send it to a spreadsheet, we auto-populate that spreadsheet, a master spreadsheet, but we send it to a CRM. What does the CRM do? It will follow up with the lead, the seller that is just generated. It will send them a text message immediately. It will send them an email immediately. It would even remind you to call that person, and even the CRM can call you first so that you can live transfer a call. So
Cool.
Yeah, you can even start a conversation right there as soon as you press a button and connect with the seller right there. So now those systems have allowed us to increase the conversion, like the amount of people that we actually close and that we get a hold of. Now, not only a text message, an email, and maybe a ringless voicemail, but now we also have a team of virtual assistants and inside sales agents that are calling these leads immediately. They're shaped as a call center. And now these people are calling the leads for our clients, whether they come from social media or Google Ads.
So
And
can you expand a little bit to, or Alefiyah as well, who would be basically for our audience to say, okay, how do I engage with either one of you, and what would their situation need to be so that it's interesting to get in touch with you or one of your team members?
Absolutely. So if you are looking to engage with us, right, you can always message us or even book an appointment on hustlemedia.com. So hustle stands for hustle, but it's written HESEL media.com. You can book an appointment with us and our team. You can also reach to us on Instagram at Estenic or our Facebook public group, Real Estate Investing and Wholesaling Marketing and Conversion Mastery. So it's a group where we'll be having lives with other people, adding value, teaching you about marketing strategies, teaching you about conversion strategies, whether that's social media or whether that's regular traditional marketing, whether that's Google PPC. So you can reach out there.
Yeah, that's cool. And Alefiyah, could you describe what would be the ideal client or the ideal person for you to reach out?
Absolutely. So we typically are looking for experienced investors. We want to work with investors who are looking to expand their pipeline to at least 2 to 5 additional contracts per month. And most importantly, we are looking for those that would be willing to put in the effort and also the investment into paid, advertising, especially Google PPC. Because if someone is like a motivated or distressed seller and they're looking to sell their house, they're most likely going to be going on Google. And while that's very, very effective, it does require an investment. So we're looking for experienced investors, individuals that are looking to add 2 to 5 contracts into their pipeline. And most importantly, individuals that are willing to invest, because motivated sellers or sellers are the cream of the crop in this current economy. So those are the criteria that we'd be looking for our personal clientele.
Right. And when you say contracts, can you specify that a little more? Are you looking single family, multifamily, townhomes, condos?
Yeah. So whenever you say contracts, we usually are targeting homeowners that have a single family or a small residential multifamily. We're talking about here duplex, triplex.
So the FHA frame, so to speak.
That is correct. During the FHA frame. And one of the things that I want to add with what Alefiyah said, and everything that she said is absolutely correct, but the people that do this business actively, they need to know that this is a marketing and sales game more than a real estate game if you're doing active wholesaling. If you're not having prospects or homeowners that need to sell a property, you will have no business. So we need to be able to find a proper way to consistently have those conversations with those type of homeowners. So having marketing stamina is one of the biggest things that people have to have. Whether you're doing cold call, whether you're doing Facebook ads, whether you're doing Google ads, whether you're doing SMS, if you don't have the stamina to continuously invest and do it, it's going to be very hard for you to keep your business and grow your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would totally second that. That's also my experience because, as you know, we have this out-of-state turnkey residential real estate investing strategy that we are basically mentoring our clients with. And a lot of them, especially, I would say in the last 9 to 12 months, have been saying, is there going to be a peak? Are we at the peak? Is the inflation going to be influencing us? Should we wait? Should we even consider any more? Stock market seems to be climbing all the time. Is real estate? And I come back to exactly what you just said, and Alefiyah, same thing, is you got to have a plan. You have to have a strategy, and you got to be willing to actually be convinced that it's the right strategy, right? That's why we spend, and I'm sure you're doing this too when you're gaining a new client, first really making them understand to the point that they not just consciously comprehend what it is, but also what the benefits are and why they should actually do it, so that there is, I would say, almost like conviction in the strategy. And then it's not a matter anymore of, well, do I do the right thing? No, you have decided this is the right thing, and then you have to consistently do it through thick or thin. And I mean, real estate, as I think we would all agree, is a kind of a long-term thing. So yes, the markets go up and down right now. There's probably massive demand, until we reach a point where regular people have a hard time affording the properties, right? And then we will have a different situation, but only those, and I think this is also showing who has really the right high quality approach, only those who have gone through all these ups and downs through the last, in my case, 15 years, and are still there, still have their portfolios, still keep growing it, still keep investing. That's ultimately kind of the thing that you need to and want to look for everybody. So with time kind of running out in the last few minutes, I have a few questions that I like to ask for every one of our shows. And in this case, since we have the awesome benefit to have both of you, I would like to ask you both, and I limit the questions so we don't run too far over. So one of the questions that have been, I don't know, appreciated, some people have cringed a little bit, is if you had a time machine and you could go back to a time, where would you go and why?
Who wants to start? Alefiyah?
Ladies first.
Oh my goodness. I would start, to be honest, when I was 14. Because I mean, even now I'm young, I'm currently 20, but there's just so much opportunity when you're young, and it's so important to fail and to learn from mentors who are already more successful than you when you're young, because you just have so much opportunity to screw up. So by the time, like, if I started when I was 14, 6 years later, I would have been 20. I would have at least, even if I failed during those 6 years, I would have succeeded by my 7th year, right? So probably maybe 14, because that's when I started, I guess, getting more familiar with entrepreneurship and with real estate investing. But honestly, as young as possible. I think the biggest advantage that we have is time, and time genuinely is money. And time is also opportunity. And I would go back as, young as possible till I would go back as, far as young as possible, when I had that, ability to pursue entrepreneurship and make an impact in the field of work that I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the beauty of this question with the time machine is that you retain all your knowledge, right? You're not wiped out when you get there. So you be whatever knowledge you have right now and you carry that there. So that would be a huge advantage. How about you, Esteban?
So look, man, I could say a funny thing. I could say, like, for example, hey, I would go back in 2011 when Bitcoin was like $1 and just buy a bunch.
But that's a good idea. Yeah.
But
actually, the first one you brought that up, so that when we have a time machine, you and I go together.
Yeah, let's go together. But honestly, at that time, why did not happen is because sometimes we are so fearful about unknown things that we potentially don't have control of. And I'm going to give you a big example. Back in 2011 or probably 2010 or something like that, the real estate investing market in Toronto, Ontario, that's where I used to live, was not as crazy as it is today. So back in 2011, I want to say 2009 or 2010, I was supposed to help in the first real estate property investment in Toronto, having a 200K home, purchase a 200K home that now is worth like 700, 800K or something like that in the city of Mississauga outside of Toronto. And I didn't take action is because we had this so much fear of losing and failing and making mistakes that eventually it also reflects on all the other decisions that you make. You don't make business decisions by taking those little risks and taking action and actually getting that little fear of maybe, I'm going to lose some profit. I'm going to lose some of the money that I've earned. So I will tell my young self, and I'll put my time machine. Whenever you see an opportunity, especially, for example, in real estate, you have to be able to take action into it and not just fumble and be like, oh yeah, I want to be able to invest in real estate. I want to be able to like take, have this amount of properties. But when the opportunity comes, you just hesitate. And that happens a lot. It happened with us in real estate in 2010, 2011, when it was a good market. It was a good amount, good time that the homes were now worth $1 million in Toronto, that we basically lost in a good time because we had the intention, but we didn't do it.
Yeah,
And
that's a great point. And I think that is also a little bit bigger lesson, as much as it is kind of fun to say, what would I do? Whether it's, buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin or stuff like that. But and I don't know if you guys are aware, but for the audience, we had created and still have it free available for download for anybody, what we call the mindset manual. And what you're pointing out, Esteban, is that the mindset that will help you in the long term, even if you go back all the way to being 14 or 15 or something like that, is to say, I want to create my own future. I want to create a certain legacy. I want to be responsible for certain things that I determine. And that's really a matter of mindset. I call that the creator mindset versus the victim mindset, where stuff is happening to you and you kind of reacting, going through life, whatever is happening to you. And then you have to figure out what the next thing is. So
I love that.
That's an awesome point. So I want to thank both of you for coming on to our Ideal Investor Show. And maybe for one more time, please, Esteban, let us know real quick how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram, you can always reach out to me at Estenick, Estenick, or you can search us on Google by doing www.heselmedia.com, HESEL media.com. Search us on Facebook, our Facebook group, Real Estate Investing and Wholesaling Marketing and Conversion Group Mastery. So that will be the places that you can reach out to us. You can always talk to us in that Facebook group, ask any questions that you want about marketing itself, about online marketing, about anything that you would want. We're always willing to help. And you can always go ahead and subscribe to this channel, which is going to be the podcast that you're going to be seeing way more beautiful podcasts with Mr. Axel here. So
thank you. And we will put the details. Nadine, my assistant, is going to help put all the details both in the show notes and also on the video description when this goes on YouTube. So thank you both for being here, and thanks for all your great information and helping our audience understand a little bit more what you do and how they can get a hold of you. So with that, I hope you stay safe, be well, and I see you next time.
Thank you, Axel. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Ideal Investor Show. More info and the links we mentioned during the show are in the show notes, or you can go to our website at idealwealthgrower.com and find them there. Sign up for the Apple Podcast link, the RSS feed, the Spotify link, and if you like to talk to me, please sign up for a strategy call at idealwealthgrower.com. So hopefully you want to share what you learned with your network and bring more people in. We are really eager to hear your comments. And until next time, be well, stay safe, and ciao.